Cafe Luna, Seasons of Adventure, Volume 1, by Lux Lucerne. Chapter 4. After some time, Lunadia wiped her tears dry. The two of them went back to finishing their meal, quietly emptying their teacups and filling their bellies with biscuits. Lunadia still felt an empty sadness, but it was as if a great pressure was relieved within her, like a geyser bursting. All those raw emotions she had bottled up had been freed, and with that, she also felt a sense of hope as she processed them. A glimmer of light had revealed itself, and now she could see a path forward. "Thanks a lot, Auntie. I really needed a meal like that," Nadia said with a clap of her hands and a bow. "It's been very difficult on my own. There's just been so much to do and so many things to think about. I didn't want to bother the customers, so I've just been keeping it all bottled up." "You're welcome, dear. I've seen plenty of hardship along my travels, and I know letting your emotions fester can drain you," Nixia replied. "The spirit isn't so different from the rest of the body, really. Whether physical or emotional, wounds still need to be acknowledged and set right to be healed. That's why Cafe Luna was opened by your mother and father." They both nodded and smiled slightly. Cafe Luna was a special place. A place of warmth and healing, in a world that could be cold and cruel. "Speaking of which, someone you'll want to talk to will be coming by later. He was on the expedition with your father and helped with the search," said Nixia. "I don't know what information he's bringing, but let's hear what he has to say. I'm sure it'll open the way forward." "Who is it? Someone I know?" said Lunania, tilting her head in curiosity. "I'll let you see for yourself. Well, for now, why don't you go for a walk to the market and get some air?" replied Nixia with a sly smile. "I want you to cook dinner tonight for the three of us. I think we could all use a good meal." "Is there anything you'd like me to make? I'm a bit short on money, and won't be able to get anything fancy," said Lunania, tapping a finger on her lips, already thinking. "Whatever you like. I know you'll make us a wonderful meal with any ingredients you find. I can watch the shop while you're gone," Nixia reassured. Lunadia nodded and made her way to the door. She opened it up a crack to check the weather, before quickly retreating with a shiver. "I'll go have a wander and see what I come up with. I need my cloak, though. It's chilly out," said Lunadia. She scampered her way back to her room while rubbing her arms. The buckles on her shoes jingled as she quickly stepped up the stairs. Dim light filtering into her room, she lay on her bed for a moment, taking a deep breath. She felt exhausted in some ways, but renewed in others. In a smooth movement, she raised her legs and lowered them, quickly rising to her feet. Looking into her mirror, she straightened her scarf and brushed her hair. Smoothing out her shirt and skirt, she looked at herself and nodded. She threw her cloak over her shoulders, a pure white with golden trim, gently letting it drape over her form, before clasping the front just above her bosom. A hand on each hip checking her knife and wand, she looked into the mirror one more time. Determination in her eyes, she was perfectly ready. Lunadia descended the stairs with light feet, cloak flowing behind her. But before setting out into the cold, she stopped to thank Nixia once again. "Thank you again for the meal, Auntie. I feel a lot better now. Still not at 100%, but I'll do my best," said Lunadia with a bright smile. "You're welcome, dear. My ears are always open when you need to talk," replied Nixia, placing a hand on her cheek and letting out a sigh of relief. "Thank you. I better get going. It looked like a storm was coming," said Lunadia with a bow. They nodded to each other. Oh, before turning to go, Lunadia stopped and stared for just a moment. It was barely noticeable. She quickly waved farewell before making her way out. But as Lunadia was leaving, Nixia let out a small, knowing smirk. Lunadia opened the door to the cold, windy outside. She held her cloak close to her chest and stepped out into the cloudy gray light. Her shiny black shoes clapped against the pale gray of the cobblestone pathways as she made her way towards the market. The lake district was still slumbering. The gentle lapping of blue water could be heard as it flowed through the canals before streaming down to the lower canal district. To one side, the open air looking over the rest of the city and the sea. To the other, the silent salt-white stone buildings. Her brow furrowed as she placed a hand on her cheek. Auntie must not have been eating well either. She looks a bit run down. Between her own research and everything going on, she's probably been really busy. Didn't eat much either when we were having tea, Nadia said to herself, tapping a finger in thought. Maybe I'll make something warm and hearty, that's nourishing and easy to go down. That would be good on a cold day like this. I have to see what's fresh at the market. The young woman raised her head and quickly stumbled to the side, dodging out of the way of an impending lamp-post. She looked around for a moment, cheeks a slight red, and continued on her way down the stairs to the market. An idea stewing in her mind, she clasped both hands to her chest, holding her cloak, and hurried along more briskly. Trotting along the cobblestone paths, under overhanging stone-worked pathways, and over bridges spanning the small canals, she arrived at a large bridge spanning the main canalway. It had salt-white pillars along the side, connected by black metal guardrails and lamp-posts. It was open, wide, and windy, leading to the market area near the docks. Many people were coming and going, carrying ingredients or a hungry, excited look on their face. The wind picked up as Lunadia crossed the bridge, and its salt of biting cold and lashing gusts. She held her cloak even tighter and turned her face from the wind, hiding behind her hood. Snowflakes began to whirl past her as the skies began to let loose a flurry. Gosh, it's chilly. I'm glad I brought my cloak, Lunadia thought to herself. Clutched her scarf, running her fingers over the silver star emblem. I wish Seth was here to use his wind magic to ward off the bitter cold, keep me warm. Wonder how his training in Viventi has been. Braving the harsh, cold gales, Lunadia eventually caught wind of a warm, delectable smell. They had made it across the bridge and began to quickly seek shelter amongst the many marketplace stalls. People were gathered round in packs, enjoying food together and examining wares from all over. Tarps overhead, warm smells all around, and people beckoning prospective customers. The market was busy, even on a cold day like this. Being a port town, there are foods, goods, and people from all four continents. Vegetables of all colors of the rainbow, and all sorts of shapes and sizes. Meats from birds, beasts, fish, and even monsters. Warm and hearty stews wafting mouth-watering smells throughout the market, the sizzling of oil, the rhythmic beat of knives on cutting boards. A chaotic mixture of sights, smells, and sounds, yet harmonious in its own way. Lunadia continued to the central area, where they have more exotic and specialized goods. While the outer market catered to common folk with everyday goods, the central market appealed to adventurers looking to trade exotic materials and fine crafting services. Swords of shining metal, axes of great size made from the bones of beasts, staves and wands with dazzling gems, and armor of hides, scales, and everything else you could imagine. At a leisurely pace, Lunadia walked the market and took in all the sights. She always loved to watch people here, thinking of all the stories they have, imagining what they've been through by looking at their equipment. Adventurers are a jolly bunch, fighting for glory and fame, reveling in the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of uncovering the unseen. No matter how dire, they faced their quest with valor and excitement. Members of the Order of Seasons, who work directly under the Guild Association, are also commonly seen here. The scholarly seekers who are tasked with researching and scouting monsters, dressed in light armor, covered in bags, scrolls, goggles, and other research equipment. The stalwart guardians who keep watch and maintain peace, dressed in heavy armor and tabard. Sometimes you even see the masters walking the market, the most elite and trusted adventurers of the guild, who handle special quests and investigations. The roar of adventurers and merchants could be heard throughout the central market, with trades involving the hides of great beasts, scales of drakes, exotic metals, and of course, delicious ingredients. Gluttonous dragon, which has meat marbled throughout, rich and savory, melting in your mouth. Tempest chicken, said to have meat so tender and light it adds a swiftness to your step and puts the wind behind your back. They even had blessed beef, with meat so full of nutrients it bursts with a savory gravy when chewed and revitalizes the body. Lunadia's mouth had begun to water at the thought of some of these ingredients. She reached into her bag and pulled out her coin purse. With a creak like a dying animal, it opened. It was as if the coin purse's spirit flew out of it and ascended. Lunadia looked dismayed at her lack of coin and let out a disappointed sigh. She looked one more time at these exotic ingredients, dreaming, before quickly dashing away to one of the quieter side markets. "You shall be mine one day. Delicious, delicious ingredients," Lunadia whispered to herself, shaking her fist. "But not today." The roar of hustle and bustle waned away slowly as Lunadia strolled to a quieter street. There were a few people quietly doing their grocery shopping, picking up local produce that was fresh and in season. It was a good time for root vegetables, plentiful and tasty. Things like potatoes, carrots, and yams were cheap, but packed full of nutrients. There were also brightly colored citrus fruits that smelled sweet and fragrant, which practically shined on this gloomy winter day. Though as Lunadia was browsing the produce and food stalls, a savory, homey smell caught her attention. She followed her nose, allured by the rich, mouth-watering savoriness. Her nose had led her to a simple food stall, run by an old gentleman with an apron. He was serving meatballs with a brown gravy. Nothing fancy, nothing new, but something warm and homey. But what surprised Lunadia the most as he approached the stall was not the man nor the food. It was a strange black shape in front of the stall, round and plush, black as a shadow. Reaching up, a ball of fluff went long and placed a paw on the stall, feeling around. It was neither monster nor ghost, but a particularly soft, fluffy cat.